Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'm going to talk about a brand new technology which you may not have heard of, which is television. And I've got an example of one of those just over here. Now, the reason why I want to talk about television is it's not very fashionable often to talk about TV, but it is a $500 billion industry worldwide. And it's been going through constant reinvention. So if you think about how publishing has done, how music has done, and you compare television has actually grown in size over the last few years and is projected to keep on growing. So it's a large established market with plenty of opportunities for innovation within there. So just to give you some context, this is life 10 years ago for the UK. So it's a very, very different market. And there have been lots of innovations which have happened which many people expected to completely derail the traditional TV market. So if you think, for example, 10 years ago, there were only 5 channels, and now most people have got between 40 and 400 in the UK. There was no broadband, so broadband was 128 kilobits per second 10 years ago, and now the average speeds are about 16 megabits per second, and when LTE Advanced launches, it will be about 300 megabits per second over mobile. Netflix 10 years ago was postal distribution of DVDs, and now it is one of the biggest channels in the US market and growing very, very quickly. So that market has changed, or the ecosystem has changed quite radically. And if you compare how the actual behavior and consumption of TV has changed, it's changed very, very little indeed. So for example, 10 years ago, people spent about 4 hours of watching television, and today people spend about 4 hours watching television. And they used to watch in the evening, and they still watch in the evening. They used to watch on the main TV set, and they still do the same thing. So lots of the behaviours have remained very, very similar. And one reason is because television has reinvented what it is many times. And we think that will continue to happen over the next few years as well. So just what I wanted to give you was an idea of some of the trends which are coming up within television. And that's just a sizing of the market there for the next few years. So what's imminent? So one of the things which is happening, which you're probably aware of, is a growth of what's called the subscription video on demand market. And basically what's happening is people are stopping buying DVDs and buying subscriptions to services which provide the content which they used to buy. So the growth of companies like Netflix is effectively people saying, rather than watching The West Wing as a box set, I'd rather have it on demand simply because it is easier. So when you think about unlimited music services, what people use those for is to listen to the music they already own or they're already familiar with. It's not really about discovery when you look at the actual consumption of that, and it's going to be a similar thing with television as well. And you can see the DVD sales trending down as the sales of subscription VOD are going up. So it's a swapping out of those markets. Now, one other trend which is happening, you will have heard of connected TV. You may have bought a connected TV in the past few years. But the way in which people connect televisions has always been via a variety of routes. So all these devices here, and what we're showing here is the ownership of these devices in the UK, allow you to connect to TV. So one of the easiest ways to do connect to TV, and the cheapest ways, is you buy an HDMI cable and use that to connect to your laptop, to your screen, to your TV screen, and there you have connected TV. And that's one of the ways in which services like LoveFilm or Netflix or iPlayer have been able to grow quite quickly. Now, connected TVs, if you go and buy a TV with connectivity built in, you'll be looking to spend probably £400 or £500. But this is what we'll see growing a lot next year. We expect to see 10-20 million of these units being sold worldwide. And what that is effectively connected to television functionality in a £10 box. So this is a box which Sky offers. Google's got one called Chromecast, which is about $35, not yet hit the UK market. And over the next few months, we'd expect lots and lots of content owners to announce their own equivalents of these boxes to allow you to have access to their content on demand. So other innovations are happening also at the production level. This here is a octocopter. Basically what it does is it replaces hiring a guy in a helicopter shooting coverage. So it's basically a dividend, so to speak, from drone technology, which is used a lot by the US military. and it allows you to remotely control a helicopter. So this here is being used for skiing. BBC News has developed its own, they've got a hexacopter, so it's got 6 rotors, but these will become more and more prevalent as a way of creating more stunning footage of every kind of event coming up. Other things which are happening, there's a lot more capture happening in 4K, which is the upgrade to HD. So it's 4 times the resolution of HD. It's a massive investment upgrading all the equipment which is out there to 4K. This is one example of a show which Sky produces via Shine, so it's one of its subsidiaries. And what they do over here is they've got a ring of 4K still cameras, so when the actor here does a jump, you capture it in 360 degrees and you can do replays 360 degrees in slow motion from there. So you will have heard of 4K, you will see in the price of 4K TV sets plummet. This here is an 8K prototype camera. The reason why this is quite interesting is because 3 years ago they weighed about 85 kilos, and now they weigh about 4 kilos, and you can hold them in your hands if you have very big hands. But this is one piece of progress which has been happening over the last few years. Now also what's been happening, so one reason why televisions remain appealing, I'd say, is because televisions have got larger and larger. So a few years ago this kind of TV would have probably cost well over £1,000, but now for this size set you can buy it for £500. Now as a result of that, the average size of TV set that people are buying has got larger and larger. It's partly because the suppliers are taking the hit on TV set size. Now what we expect by 2020 is about a tenth of all TV sets will be about 80 inches in size. And there's plenty of room to grow in the UK's living rooms. Now, if you start running out of space for televisions, then imagine, this is a wall with wallpaper. It's not my home here, but it's very tasteful wallpaper. Now, imagine converting the wallpaper into screens, which is what Cisco has done with this technology over here. So they've joined together 6 LCD or OLED screens, and they're controlling it using that device, using that tablet over there. So you can put whatever you want onto each screen. So it's an extension of what television, but also second screen usage is today. And so this is one way of using those screens, is showing a variety of content, or else you can have all 6 screens or 8 screens or however many you want to, showing a movie. So it's the way of sort of just taking this kind of array to the next level. So that's a quick view on some of the things which are happening in the TV space. And I'll hand over.
And experience this for yourself. For more information, visit our website, firsttuesday.org.uk.